So what I'd like to talk about this morning is about the power of miracles. And whether you realize it or not, every single one of us are a tremendous miracle maker. And that's what I'd like to work on this morning. We are already making miracles. Some may perceive them, some may not, but that's the understanding we want to get this morning. Because what we would like you to do is be able to make the miracles that you want to achieve. And I want to show you how we've already made miracles, but unfortunately they're not usually the ones we'd like. So if we just start off very simple. For most people, if you think about a miracle, what does a miracle mean? So you look around the world, and for people today, miracles are going to be when a person is healed, a miraculous healing from some disease, when there's some car accident. You ever heard that one? There was a car accident, the car turned over 3-4 times, and they came out unharmed. So it's a miracle. So you go through life that way, a person who's having difficulty in a business, and then one day out of nowhere comes a business deal to save the business. So you say, wow, what a miracle, right? Had miracles like that? Yes. Yes? Okay, yes. Then you get the spiritual people. They say, well, you know, the miracle is nature. Look at the way the plants grow. Look at the way the stars operate. Look how the sun and the moon come and go. Look at the birth of a child. You ever heard those? Exactly. So if we define a miracle as something supernatural, then we really have to start being more objective. Let's ask ourselves, especially with the nature, is nature natural or unnatural? Natural or unnatural? It's natural. So then the plants growing and the birth of a child and how the stars operate and all those things we consider nature, that's natural. How miraculous can it be? Because it's not supernatural. So they say, aha, but what about the miraculous healing, and what about the business that comes out of nowhere, or what about the person who finds their soulmate, love of their life in the supermarket, I don't know, on the street, and whatever coincidental happenstance. So isn't that a miracle? Because it's also supernatural. So we have to go back to our original foundation, asking ourselves, as we do basically week to week, when the Creator created you and I and created the universe, how was it created? Perfect or not perfect? Perfect. So in that perfection, does perfection include love, prosperity, health, peace, protection, all the good things in life? Yes? Exactly. So then when we say a miraculous healing, is healing natural or unnatural? Natural. Love, natural or unnatural? Prosperity, natural or unnatural? Exactly. So where's the miracle? If you really think about it, where's the miracle? Because as we've said, miracle means something that's unnatural, something that's supernatural. So at this point, we have to start awakening ourselves and realize most of the time the things that we think are miraculous are actually parts of nature. It's just we're not used to it. We're not familiar with it, so it becomes supernatural. There's a very powerful teaching from the Kabbalists. In the 5 books of Moses, it's said in its original Aramaic like this: Mechadesh b'kol yom tamid ma'aseh bereshit. The Creator renews every day and always the works of creation. So pay attention here, it's going to get a little deep. For this carpet to exist on a day-to-day basis, what the Kabbalists teach us, the Creator is infusing it with energy, moment to moment. For our physicality to exist, the Creator is infusing it with energy, moment to moment. It's not like we were created, and then that's it, we kind of just move on. Or even the benches you're sitting on. I mean, think scientifically. Inside this bench that in our perception doesn't move. What's moving inside of it? Atoms. Right? Atoms. The electrons are racing at almost the speed of light in every atom of that bench. Do you perceive the bench moving? No. Do you perceive the carpet moving? No. There's a lot of things we don't perceive are moving, but there's a dance of electrons running around 24/7. Where do they get their power? What gives them the energy to keep going? And that's what the Kabbalists are making us aware of. That moment to moment, the Creator, the universe, is infusing energy into every single thing. Well, then that includes our physical body regarding health. It includes our business regarding prosperity. It includes relationships regarding love. It includes being on the street, the other cars around you, your car, protection, peace, harmony. The Creator is constantly infusing. The universe's nature is to infuse it constantly with energy to support it in its existence. It's not it existed, it was created, and then that's it. I mean, think about it. Why do things tend to break down? Now we're looking at it a little differently. Because somehow the energy gets disconnected or gets sent off somewhere else. So the chairs break down. Unfortunately, the body breaks down. Things tend to break down because of the energy. But go back to what we said. If the Creator is constantly infusing energy in it, then it's maintained because the Creator is infusing energy in it. But how are we created? Who are we really? They say we're in the image and likeness of the Creator, don't they? Which means we have the power of the Creator. And if we have the power of the Creator, and the Creator is constantly infusing energy into things, then what are we doing every day? What are we doing moment to moment, whether we're aware or not? We are injecting energy into our lives in every way, shape, or form. We are injecting energy into the world, every way, shape, or form. So the world, as you see it, exists as you energize it, exists as you create it. And that's why it's so important and powerful to wake up and remember, when you wake up in the morning, the way you believe the world works, the way you believe things operate, the way you believe about yourself, you're creating your world. You wake up in the morning and you decide, is it the same as it was yesterday, or is it brand new? Nobody else decides it. That's why they're teaching us. Every day the Creator is renewing the works of creation. For us to understand, every day we can do the same thing. We are doing it. Bless you. If you wake up in the morning and the day looks like the same day yesterday, or the same day as the day before, and the day before, and years after years, like people will say, my life is the same, it just goes on and on and on, the same old. Then it's up to us to realize we've injected that into it. Because we've carried the same consciousness from one day to the next. And if you wake up with the same consciousness, you wake up with the same perception. You wake up with the same perception, you wake up with the same world. Think about it. There's was a story years and years ago. There was a story about a gentleman who worked in the bank. Okay, now you imagine a loan officer, I believe he was. So people come in, they fill out the loan form. Do they get the answer right away? Not usually, right? It takes some time. They've got to process it. So this person, for whatever reason, decided that at the end of their day, at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, whatever it was, anything that was left on the desk, they just threw in the trash and that's it, and they started over new tomorrow. Sure, I'm glad my loan wasn't on that desk. But you think about it. What he's trying to do from our point of view, I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not telling you to do that. So please don't go tell your boss, yeah, Chaim said just throw everything off my desk and that's it, I'll start over tomorrow. But for us to understand, we have the opportunity to wake up in the morning and create a different day. It doesn't have to be the same. If we've changed our perspective and our awareness, our understanding and our belief system about how the universe works, then we're changing our world. Because it's only us who infuses light into it. The Creator gave us the power to be able to empower our world. Now, you look around the world, and you talk to maybe 100 people, and 100 people will tell you the world is the same as you see it. True? You have friends that you all discuss, well, yeah, things are chaotic, and it's terrible, and this is no good, and this is bad, and this is fine, and this is good. But basically, you're describing the world the same way. So how can it be that we're all creating our own universe or our own world if everybody's seeing it the same? I hope I'm confusing you a little bit. But why everybody else? So you ever heard the saying, birds of a feather flock together? Oh, yes. So that means if you hold a certain belief system, you will tend to attract people with a similar belief system. So if you didn't change anything from last night to this morning about how you believe about yourself or about the world or about the operating system of the world, then basically you're going to see pretty much the same thing day in and day in as you've seen in the past. If you wake up, and obviously you did something, you joined us here. It gives us the ability and the opportunity through Kabbalistic wisdom to wake up with a new perspective, a new understanding, a new belief system about who am I, about who we are, and about what the world is, and what the truth of the world is. So like the Kabbalists say, consciousness is everything. It's our consciousness that determines what we create. So then, let's go back to the idea of miracles. If consciousness is everything, and as we're talking about, it's you and I who are empowering the physicality of our world. We are deciding what it is. Then what is it that's truly a miracle? What is it that's truly unnatural or supernatural? Ready? How many have ever heard of fires, floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, and tornadoes? Heard of them? What do they usually call them? A term that I really disdain. Natural disasters. Natural disasters. Look at the world. What's the nature of things in our world today? That there's health or there's a lot of sickness going around. So it's natural, Chaim. Come on, people get sick, things happen, etc. What about business? Well, it's natural. Some businesses will make it and some businesses won't. Some people will make it and some won't. What about relationships? Same thing. It's all natural. It's all natural that people should have chaos, discord, disarray, disharmony, discouragement. We say it's natural. But the moment we say it's natural, what are we telling our conscious and unconscious mind? What can we do about it? It's only natural. It's only natural. So can we change fires, floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, and tornadoes? No, because it's only natural. Can we change trouble in the economy, trouble in the world, violence, hatred, drugs, all those things? No, because it's only natural. And then we add to it. Another one of the sayings I don't like so much. It's human nature. Or, I'm only human, what can I do? It's a lie. It's a lie. We are not only human. We are also divine. We are miracle makers in the process of making miracles. We've already made them. We just didn't realize what we've been making. Hatred, anger, violence, jealousy, greed, ego. Is it our true nature or is it our false nature? It's our false nature. It's not who we really are. Who are we really? Love, kindness, compassion, generosity, forgiveness, tolerance. All the attributes of the Creator, of the light force of God. That's who we really are. So it's important for us to start shifting our consciousness and realizing, it's not natural for chaos to exist. It's not natural for trouble to be in a person's life. But because we have free will and it's our consciousness that determines things, then it's our consciousness that can decide if we made it that way, we can unmake it, we can change it. That's why it says, the Creator, you and I, are renewing every day and always the works of creation. So you created a day yesterday. You're creating a day today. Do you want it to be the same or do you want it to be different? It's in your hands. It's not in anybody else's hands. All the friends around you, those birds of the feather that you've flocked together, you don't have to listen to them anymore. Why not be the miracle maker and make them change their understanding too? Help them to realize that if they carry the same thing from one day to the next, then that's what they're going to get. Because it's also true for them. They are creating their world according to their consciousness. They're creating their world according to how they perceive it. So we're here, the Kabbalists are offering us the ways and means to understand the original plan of creation and the true power that you and I have to create and manifest miracles. It's up to us. It's not up to anybody else. It's in our hands. We have the ability. We just have to understand and not let those negative thoughts in our mind that are also unnatural tell us that we can't. You hear that voice in your head says, no, you can't create miracles. Don't listen to what he's saying. But then you also have to be honest with yourself. You already created the miracles that you're sitting in. Whatever situation you're in now, you've created it with that kind of thinking. Negative thoughts, negative actions will create disarray. Harmonious thoughts and actions will create harmony and order. Cause and effect, action, reaction, law of attraction, all those things, it's the same idea. So we have to realize, yes, we do have the power to make miracles. The Creator gave it to us when it created us in its image and likeness. But what are we doing with it? That's the question. And we've allowed ourselves in this day and age to just believe that we can't do it, that we don't have the power. And that's why if I give you an interesting story in the Bible about the 10 plagues, and I'm not going to go into all 10 of them, but one in particular that I felt was a very powerful example for this morning. It's the plague of blood. If you remember the story, we won't go through it. Actually, I went to the movies last night. We saw there's a movie coming out. What was it? Moses and Exodus, or Exodus and God, or something like that. And of course my wife will attest to that. You know, I'm watching the trailer for this movie and I'm thinking, I'm screaming at the screen. Why don't they ask the Kabbalah Centre? We could make a much better movie. It'd be much more spectacular if they really knew the truth of what happened. So you have the story of the plagues. The first plague is blood. Water turns to blood. So we say it's a miracle. I mean, we can't, well, I guess we could do it, just not in that way. Right? Maybe that's part of it. Water turning to blood is a big miracle. I mean, heaven forbid, you kill enough people, drain their blood in the sea, and it'll be water turned to blood. What's the big deal? And the stories say, and the commentaries say, that the Egyptian Pharaoh, the king, because Moses said, this is a miracle of God. And Pharaoh looked at it and said, water to blood? He says, look, I'll bring in Egyptian school children. They can do the same thing. And they were able to turn water into blood. What couldn't they do? They couldn't turn blood to water. Moses was the one who could turn blood to water. So here you sit with the Nile River, turns to blood. Moses can turn it back to water. But in between, you want to hear something fantastic? And this is one of the things I'd love to see in a movie. But if you know a director, a writer, a producer, let us know. So it says, while the river was blood, the Israelites, the children of Israel, who we are, were able to dip into that Nile River of blood, and what they drew out in their cup, in their container, was water, pure water. The Egyptian went to the same Nile, in the same place, at the same time, dipped in, and guess what they got? Blood. Blood. So you're talking in the same place, in the same moment, at the same time, from the same water or same river, one gets water, one gets blood. That's miraculous. That Moses, the children of Israel, could turn it back from blood to water, from chaos to harmony and order, from darkness to light. That's the lesson for us. Because as it says, each and every one of us are one of those children of Israel. Let me ask you, you have a situation in your life, maybe in work. Situation at work or a person at work. That's usually how it starts. There's some person at work that you and a coworker, you and perhaps one of your friends at work, will describe that third person completely opposite. One of you will say, wow, you see Mary over there, such a nice, wonderful, kind person. And your friend looks at you and says, are we talking about the same Mary? That Mary? The one who's mean, nasty, rotten, no good, etc., etc.? And you're shocked. It's the same Mary, it's the same person. But two of you are describing them differently. I'll bring it closer to home. Smile at me because I'm okay. How many of you have somebody who doesn't like you? How many of you have friends and loved ones that do like you? Same thing. So how come somebody describes you as good and somebody describes you as bad? How come you describe somebody as bad and somebody describes them as good? It goes right down the line, because just like that plague of water, of blood, depends on your consciousness. How you perceive the person or the situation will determine how you describe them. Why? Because you are the creator of your world. So when you're looking at that person, and I hope nobody here is Mary, okay, that Mary, if you're looking at that Mary, the one person with the positive thoughts, kindness and love, will see them as a kind, loving person, because that's what they're creating. The other person who may be in a bad mood, or may just have held on to something that was done once by that Mary, that they're holding on to the negative thoughts and idea, now they're looking at Mary and they're creating a nasty, mean, rotten Mary. If they can create it, they can uncreate it. If they made it, they can change it. So you and I who have those things in our life, people we don't like, situations we don't like, or we have to start being more objective. How many times we look in our own mirror and sometimes we don't like what we see? I'm watching the heads. Oh, okay. Right? Sometimes we do, right? Doesn't matter what it is, but we look and we don't like it. It's the same thing. Who created it and who can change it? You have to decide. And that's why I tell all my students, and as many as will listen, I have a note on my mirror in the bathroom. I am a being, a pure and perfect light being. Because I have to keep reminding myself. Because there's those other thoughts in our head, as we've talked about the opponent, that negativity that doesn't want us to believe that we are pure and perfect. Doesn't want us to believe we have the power to create things in our lives. But you and I, just like the Israelites, we have that power. We can be the Egyptians, and please, I'm not about the Egyptians physically in literalness. It's about people who don't hold to the light of the Creator, who don't believe they have the power of the light of the Creator. The people who are not connected to spiritual teachings. Those are the ones who will get the blood. Those are the ones who will get the chaos. Those are the ones who will get all the negativity. And then will come you and I who are here learning this technology, the power of consciousness, the true consciousness, that these things already exist. The pure water was there. To turn it from blood back to pure water was natural. The real miracle was creating the chaos, creating disarray. If the Creator, in its original form, created this world and you and I perfect, then the real miracle is creating the chaos, creating negativity, acting in a non-godlike way. That's the real miracle. And the reason I want to bring that out, to help us feel more worthy of miracles. Because a lot of us, again, going back to when we look in the mirror, we don't feel we're worthy of miracles. So then how can we have a miracle of better business, better relationship, better health, peace and love, better children, whatever it is, if we don't feel worthy? Or we don't believe we have the power, even if we feel worthy. So if we can already see how we're creating miracles, but just the negative kind, the kind we don't want to have, then it's about switching our consciousness and creating the miracles we want. The nice part of all of this is to understand that the miracle of chaos, and I hope you're following me with that, the miracle of chaos, the fires, the floods, all the natural disasters, inhuman behavior, hatred towards another person, etc. Those kinds of miracles, and now we put them in quotes, are only temporary. They are not eternal. Because the only thing that is truly eternal is the light of the Creator that exists everywhere in our universe and exists infinitely in our soul. That's the only reality. So anything other than that, hatred, violence, poverty, greed, pollution, etc., can only be temporary. Can only be temporary. So we, here in the center, we're learning the technology of how to make it temporary already. Like finish it off now. Don't wait for its temporary nature to come sometime down the line. Let's make it happen now. But if we believe already that it's possible, then it's easier to make it happen. If we believe that perfection already exists, then to cause it to be revealed is simpler than if we believe we have to create perfection. Because who are we to create perfection? That's how it makes us think. That negative thought in our head, that negative energy called our opponent, makes us believe we can't. But let me ask you, how many of you have a cell phone? So for you to take out your cell phone and use it, does it seem miraculous to you? It's common. Everybody has a cell phone today, right? So to use a cell phone, walk down the street and see a cell phone and see people using it, it's not a miracle. Is it really? No. It's part of what we would consider today nature. Everybody has it. We know that there's a system called cell phones. Now, some of you are going, yeah, but there's certain apps or certain functions. I'm not sure how to use them. But do you believe they already exist on your phone? Yes. So all you have to do is take out the instruction manual, follow the instructions, and you can make it work. But now let's go back 100 or 150, 200 years. And now somebody says to you, you know, I have this thing called a cell phone that we can speak to people all around the world with no wires, no nothing. Just basically a disembodied voice. Think, for them, that would be miraculous. Because it's not the nature of their time. It's not what they're used to. It's not what they're familiar with. So the Kabbalists are teaching us the same thing. We have in the Kabbalah, we have this technology. We have the instruction manual. How to make perfection exist. Because it already exists. It's already programmed inside of us. It's programmed in the world. We just need to understand how to make it happen. Follow the instructions. Like the cell phone. Follow the instructions, it will work. It's up to us to make it happen. It's in our hands to do it. But it's to remember, we don't have to make perfection, we just have to reveal it. We just have to reveal it. So don't let that thought in your head, that part we call the opponent, fool you and make you believe you can't. You're already a miracle maker. The Creator creates miracles, we can create miracles. The question is now, what miracle do you want? So as you're thinking about your life this week, think about, what kind of miracle do you want? What's the miracle you'd like to achieve this week? In what situation in your life? So think about it. Put the image in your mind. How are you going to do it? How are you going to create miracles? Who's the miracle maker? You could say it. Who's the miracle maker? I am. I am. You could say it. Who's the miracle maker? I am. Exactly. So look at that situation that you need a miracle. And remember, the other person or the situation is not the miracle maker. You're the miracle maker. You're the one who's going to decide. Will it be the same as it was? And if it is, at least you understand why. Because you're looking at it the same way. You're behaving the same way. When you look at that situation and you decide this week that you are the miracle maker and you're going to make a miracle in that situation and you're going to make it different, then you have to decide on the action to do. And that's the only thing. So you have to think about what, in place of the perception you had, the behavior you had, your actions you had, what can you do to substitute, let's call it a light behavior, a godlike behavior? What can you do to go above that nature that you've carried with you in that situation to be more like your divine nature? Don't be human in that case. Be divine in a human body. Be a divine being, that divine energy of the light acting miraculously, supernaturally. So when you look back at you, the last time you were in that situation, realize what your nature was, what your natural behavior. And then tell that person who is you how to behave differently, how to behave more miraculously. And don't worry about the other person. That's the key. Because remember we said, like the plague, there was water and blood in the same place. So imagine, even after you and I, the children of Israel, dipped in and we got water, and here's the Egyptians standing there with blood. Did they have the power to change it? Did they have the power to become like us, an Israelite, on the more positive side, the more divine side? Absolutely. But if they held to their negative thought, their same old, that gave them the cup of blood, and we walked up and we've got the cup of water, are we looking at them and saying, well, I'm not going to drink this water because they still got blood? So when you're looking at that situation at work or at home or wherever it might be, and you're saying, no, I don't want to act miraculously in that situation. I don't want to act like my divine nature, like my light nature, because what about them? If they hold the same old, they're going to be the same old. You're only going to change your side of it, your perception of it, not them. Now, we would hope, and that's the whole point of what we do here in the Kabbalah Center, by spreading this wisdom, by teaching these concepts, these tools and technology, that as you go out there and you're dipping into life and showing people that water can come from blood, because water is the original. Health, peace, love, compassion, kindness can come out of chaos, that you will activate and stimulate their desire also to do the same. Because imagine at some point, look at the picture long term. You're pulling out water from this blood river, and they're still pulling blood. So at some point, they're thirsty enough where it's painful enough that they will also want to be like you. They'll also want to dip in and get the water. So what we're doing here is we're speeding up the process. If more of us, week to week, are learning this and going out and practicing this, putting it to use with all those people who are still in the chaos, still believing in the negative, still believing that the natural system is chaos, discord, hatred, separateness, etc. If we go out in mass enough, and we go out with enough intensity of focus and consciousness in the light, and our light nature, and becoming the light, then we're going to wake those people up. Because imagine, they're thirsty, 3-4 days no water, and we walk over there, we dip in and we're drinking, refreshed and relaxed. At some point, don't you think they're going to get the idea, hey, what are you doing? I want to do the same thing, because I've had enough of the chaos and the negativity. Don't you want to see that? A world of peace and harmony? A world where everybody is acting divine? Whew, imagine. Pretty nice, huh? So it's got to start with us. We've got to be like those Israelites. We've got to go out there and show people that we are already miracle makers, and now we're just shifting the miracles we're making from chaos to order, from darkness to light, from blood to water, in every way, shape, or form. But it's going to start with that action that you're willing to do this week, to act miraculously in whatever that situation is that you want a miracle. Because like my parents always told me, we live on the coast here. I grew up in the west coast, not of Florida, of the United States. So my parents used to say, well, if your friend jumps off the end of the pier, are you going to do the same thing? Someone told me in New York, it's if they jump out the window, are you going to jump out the window? We didn't have many big, high buildings in where I grew up, so it was off the end of the pier. So it doesn't matter. We don't want to stay off the end of the pier like those people. We want to show them how to create miracles that they don't have to. So yes, it's effort. Yes, it's work. But remember the value of it. Remember what you're going to get. Imagine what it will be like when you walk to work tomorrow and that person can no longer bother you. That situation no longer bothers you. You've transcended it because you are a miracle maker. And along with that miracle has to come all sort of continuation from that. You act miraculous at work, then it's miraculous on the street, it's miraculous at home. You go back the next day, you create a new miracle at work, it creates a new miracle on the street, a new miracle at home, a new miracle everywhere else. Why? Because you are the creator of your miracles. You are a miracle maker. In fact, can you say that with me? I am a miracle maker. And I am a pure and perfect being of light. Now say it like you really mean it. That's how you mean it? Remember, the universe is going to reflect it back to you. One more time. Exactly. If you can't announce it here in this room with these loving, warm people, how are you going to announce it out there? Think of it. Here, what do we have to be embarrassed about? What do we have to be ashamed about? We understand we are. So here's where we have to empower ourselves. That's the point of having these Sunday gatherings. Because in the first day of the week, when we're setting the pattern for the whole week, we've got to decide what miracle are we going to create. But we got to believe we're miracle makers. So say it again, please. I am a miracle maker. I am a pure and perfect being of light. Now look next to you and say, and you are a pure and perfect being of light.